Welcome to the American Valor podcast. Today we are speaking with Sean Reid-Foley. Sean is a professional pitcher who has showcased his incredible talent and determination at the highest level. Known for his explosive fastball and competitive spirit, Sean has been an integral part of his team's successes since his MLB debut. He is also the 2024 Bob Feller Major League Baseball Award winner. Sean, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate that. I had the opportunity this year with one of my teammates, Brooks Raley, to kind of get a grasp on community work. It was actually unfortunate because he ended up having season-ending surgery, and his situation took him back home. And he actually came over to my locker right before he left, and he's like, "Hey, I started working with TAPS. I have been working with TAPS for the last couple of years. I would love for you to take this over." And just he kind of was like, "Hey, just do." He's like, "Just give him like two or three, in the year." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I didn't know what to expect. He also, we were pretty close, and same with him. Like, we never do it to look good, if that makes sense. We do it because we're passionate. I come from a military family. My dad did 30 years in the Coast Guard, and we come from doing it from our honest hearts. And next thing you know, I think I did, like, I'll just say X amount, and it was many above two or three that he asked me to do. And we fit it in. And I think the Mets PR was kind of like, "Whoa, dude, we're doing like three of these a week," but no, it was good this year. It was fun. It was nice meeting everybody that I worked with, and it was a great pleasure to be able to accept this award from you guys, and to be the Bob Feller Act of Valor Award winner was means a lot to me, and definitely means a lot to my family and all my dad's friends that he worked for 30 years with and is still friends with. I had the pleasure to have two of them at the award ceremony, and it was cool. So can't say enough. Thank you from you guys, and thanks to my parents for setting the foundation for me and what it means to be in the position I'm in.
Well, we thank them as well, and thank you for your dedication to the community and service in that capacity. I know that we will be talking about this here coming soon in this conversation, but it's interesting to see how many baseball players, football players, athletes come from a military family. So thank your father for his service, and your mother as well, because they serve both hand in hand. Folks,
Yeah.
at the Bob Feller Act of Valor Foundation, we strive to educate, support, and recognize by instilling the timeless values of service, sacrifice, legacy, and citizenship. Now, Sean, based on the pillars mentioned, I would like to start today's conversation with sacrifice. Baseball demands a lot: time, energy, and focus. What sacrifices have you had to make in your journey to becoming a professional athlete, and how have they shaped you?
I think it comes down to, like, so I have two kids now. It's almost, it's a team effort with my wife and me. And it's all right, I need 2 hours, 3 hours today, whether it's going to the field or in the garage here working out. We make time for it, and we try to figure it out throughout our day. Sometimes that's working out at 9:30 after we drop the kids off, or at 8 at night. You just got to figure it out around your day with that. The sacrifices is, where do you want to be, and how can we get there? Whether that's talent wise, the whole scheme of goals with the season, and that could be individualized, or it could be with the team. Like, for instance, us this year with the Mets, we kind of had halfway through, it was around Father's Day ish in the season, we kind of had a team meeting where, like, "Hey, as a team, what is going on?" And next thing you know, I mean, we went from, I think we were right below 500 at the time. And then next thing you know, we're playing in October. And that was kind of a, hey, we need to look in the mirror and we need to play not for ourselves, but we need to play for the individual next to us. And so there's sacrifices that you make every day. And like I say, it could be individual ones or it could be team oriented. And that's what makes a great team. It's always hard with baseball because it can become selfish and individualized. And typically, I would say 80% of the time, if you're doing well individually, you're obviously helping the team. But, that 20% for the team oriented stuff is actually, as you know, in coming from a military background, it's 100%, like that 20% is really 100%. So that's kind of what I would say the sacrifices are. Because sometimes you got to look in the mirror and be like, what is going on, And that, again, that could be individual or it could be team oriented. And that's where it would be.
And I love that you bring the individuality of sacrifice up because a lot of times we think of sacrifice as something external. We're going to give up that for this. But sometimes you got to sacrifice yourself, right? And
Yeah.
in terms of saying, okay, I'm not bigger than this story here. And so I'm going to have to push myself back a little in order for the team to shine. And it's hard, as you mentioned, in a professional setting because everybody comes as an individual. They have their talents, but it's when you put it all together, like the military, where you get to shine as a group, and that's
Mm-hmm.
really the goal, right? And so, thank you for sharing that. Now, you mentioned service, the service of your dad, the service of your family, those that we know. I was able to serve, thankfully, for 26 years, and all the people that I know that are in service. And so, as a professional athlete, you have a platform that reaches many. How do you see your role in serving the communities you're part of?
While you're playing, you don't ever really think about it, but I know this might sound weird. I know a lot of people will remember me as a baseball player, but that doesn't really make me go, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't drive me. In grand scheme of things, it's more of I want to be known for off the field, if that makes sense. Like oh, how was he as a human being? How was he as a friend? It's never, oh well, look at my baseball card on this year. I know it's so weird to say this and for others to hear this, but baseball doesn't define me as a human being. I'm very blessed and fortunate for what I do, but after I'll give a little story on this. After winning this award, I was fortunate to have Black Rifle Coffee Company reach out to me, and they were like, "Hey, would you love to be in your community of New York City and your fan base and this? And would you like to come and hang out with the fire department in New York and the NYPD for 2 days and be in a community relations aspect?" And I was like, oh, hands down, slam dunk, I was like, I would love that because I'm hanging out with these firefighters, I'm hanging out with these police officers, and a lot of them, because they're fans, they're in the city, they're fans, and even if they're Yankees fans or other fan bases that they're part of, I ran into some firefighters that were Phillies fans, and they're like, "Dude, this is awesome that you're here doing this and that and the other." I know it sometimes it pertains to what you do on the field, but like to answer your question, it doesn't define me because it's funny. We always hear these meetings in spring, and these older gentlemen that come in and they play. They always tell us, "Hey, you're going to be a former player a lot longer than you were a player." And I know that's a hard thing to grasp, but it's true. The first 18 years of my life, I was a student. I was in school, and now this will be my 12th year of pro ball. I got to do 6 more years to match my schooling part of my life. And then after that, let's say I get to 38 and I'm playing. Well, now I live till I'm 88. That's 50 years of being a former baseball player. You're never going to be a player your whole life. It's part of it. And you know that coming from the military, you did 26 years, which I would like to say thank you for doing that. How long have you been out now?
Yeah, it's going on 10 years.
Exactly. You're a third of the way there, and you're thinking about it, you're like, yeah, that's true. Like my dad he did 30 years. He's at 17 years out, right? This fall will be 17 years out. So I mean, he's already over 50% out of the military on lifetime span, and it's like if he lives till he's 90, he's been a former military guy for 30 something years. It's like you will always be a former X. So that's the way you got to look at it. And that, like I say, I want those firefighters and those police officers that I saw, and I would love to keep it going. And even if I did it on my own, to remember me 15 years down the road whenever they're retiring. And it's like, you remember that guy, man? He would just come and hang out with us, eat lunch with us, like once a month in the season. Yeah, we saw him only like 5 times a year, but it's like he took his time out of his day to come see us. It's stuff like that, and which I know that means a lot, especially in the New York community. They pay attention to that stuff, even if you do it for the track record. People notice, and then if you do it not for the track record, like kind of like how I am, people remember, man, and that's what matters the most is who are you as a human being.
And talking about people will remember, let's talk about legacy a little while because we've been alluding to that in the conversation. When your career is over, right, and you become that former this, right, that former
Mm-hmm.
baseball player, what do you hope people remember most about you on and off the field?
Like you said, on the field stuff, I hope people remember me as a fierce competitor, great teammate, good friend, off the field. Other than that, off the field stuff, I again, like I said, I want to be remembered as a good human being representing the organizations that I play. Because I know in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to be with the Mets probably for the rest of my career. Would it be cool? Obviously. Um, but whatever organization I represent, I want the organization to be like, man, he was great. If we could get 5 guys in the next 20 years to be like him, that would be awesome. Type of things like that. Other than that, I mean, leaving legacies. It's also now because, like I said earlier, like I'm a dad of 2 kids. It's more of so my kids can see that it doesn't matter how high you get in the world. You're no better than the cleanup crew. Like everybody is the same. Nobody is higher than one another. If you can help always.
Absolutely. It's a sobering way of seeing legacy because you're a pitcher, right? So you are the one that gets to throw the ball that day.
Yeah.
And, cleanup crew, you can't have a great stadium for people and fans to come enjoy without those folks.
Yeah.
And so it's all part of one big mission, similar to what we do in the military to make the mission successful. And that's what I hear from you that you would like to be remembered by that person that made us successful. And we would love to have them back or maybe a replica of them, right?
Yeah.
To go along this next journey. You alluded a little bit to the citizenship piece, and we'll talk about that now. As a professional athlete, you've had the chance to represent your team and by extension your community. So what does good citizenship mean to you in that context?
So with social media now, everybody has a phone, right? And again, we get meetings every spring, and sometimes they're like, oh, another meeting about this. But it's true. What do you see nowadays? Everybody has a phone, right? And everybody has social media. And it doesn't matter if that person has 5 followers or 50,000 followers. First and foremost, I represent my family. And then the bigger scheme of things, I represent the New York Mets. And then bigger than that, I represent MLB baseball. So you're always looking out for those things, and you try to put yourself in the best scenario And that's, again, it's not doing it for a track record. Like I said, like I don't do it to feel good about myself. I do it because I'm passionate with working with military families, first responders, and everything. Um, and it takes 10 seconds to be kind. And I'm talking that's in daily things. And that's what I'm talking about with everybody has a phone, everybody has social media, and it takes 10 seconds to be kind, whether I'm talking to the owner, Mr. Cohen, or I'm talking to somebody, a fan on the street. It goes a long way. And like every day we drive into the field, there's always 10 to 20 people wanting autographs. And I'm not saying this towards anybody, but it's like all you have to do sometimes is just stop once a week. And let's say it's every Tuesday, you're like, hey, put a reminder on your phone. When you go into the field today, sign for those people. It's stuff like that with being a citizen, because people remember that, man. And there's always people out there that let's say I'm having a bad day, and there's no excuses, but let's say I treat somebody unfairly, right? But that person's going to remember that for 30 years. So with being a good citizen and community outreach, it's you can't make everyone happy, but at the end of the day, if you can have people almost be on the same page about you with your community work and your image of how you are as a human being, that's how you win. You know, I don't want anybody to ever be like, oh, he was brutal. Like, man, I'm glad he's gone. I want people to be like, oh, he was great. I wish he was still with us. He's still the same guy from 4 years ago. Like we love him. Like that's what I would say about the citizenship. You're never going to be friends with them, but like I say, you leave an impact on people, and whether that's good or bad. There's nothing in the middle. It's like me pitching. You either do good or you do bad. There's nothing in the middle. There's no, oh, he did okay. Like, no, because you know how fans are, and which is great, and that's why I love New York. They're honest. You do well, they'll praise you. You do bad, they'll always remember that you were bad. And sometimes you got to climb up Mount Everest to get out of that hole, but whenever you get to the top, then you're like, all right, just keep going. Like don't get too happy. You always got to lay in the weeds. Don't get too high. Don't get too low.
And I'm over here chuckling because I am a New York boy, so I understand very well how the community either supports you or will tell you in another
Oh,
way that
yeah,
you're not doing so well.
yeah,
But thank you for answering that. And, citizenship is at the core of what we are. You live in the United States, you get an opportunity to invest into the community in one way or another. But at the basics of everything, we are citizens, right? And that calls for something. And I believe that you're doing that something. So thank you so much, Sean, for what you're doing, not only in our communities, but how you're setting up the legacy that you'll leave to fans, to your family, and to all those that will remember you as we go into this post
yeah.
era of what we do. And it's such a blessing to have you represent New York in your capacity and how you're doing it. Now, where can our audience learn more about you and how to support you along this journey?
Like I said earlier, is social media. You could send in mail. We get them all the time. I know some people are like, you guys never get the mail. No, we do. Definitely our PR groups.
Well, great. And I'll make sure to have some of those links for folks to be able to support you in your endeavor as you're pitching for the Mets and hopefully just send you some great comments on your performance or encouraging words when you're not at your peak, but that's fine. Folks, it has been a great chat here with Sean. And I thank you, Sean, for all you do, like I said, for the city, for Mets, and for our community at large. And for more information on the foundation, please visit us at our website, activevaloraward.org. And on behalf of the Bob Feller Active Valor Foundation, thank you all for joining us on this episode.
Yes, thank you guys. Appreciate it.